I've been having back reaction this time with some more Madonna coming from Ryan on Patreon. He has been taking me on my journey. If you've been following, which I'm sure a few of you have, you know we're still in the bedtime story era. We are going in with the interview section part 2, hashtag part 2. If you want to see anything leading up to this moment, they are on my channel, The Fallen Cuts are on Patreon. As always, you know the drill by now. Thank you so much, Ryan, as I say every single time. Take me on this journey. I'm so keen to see what this one entails. If you saw my interviews era 1, it was probably quite polarizing, and I suppose the interview that I watched was quite polarizing. Some people loved it, some people hated it, some people loved me, some people hated me. A lot of people said I was annoying. It is what it is. I don't really care. Like, I don't care. Everything that I do on this channel is always authentic. It's always just my first thought that comes to my head. Sometimes that's annoying to some people, sometimes it isn't. However, I know Madonna would appreciate the honesty. I know her now. I'm a stan. As we know, I'm a self-confessed stan. It's funny from where I started, from where we are now. However, enough chit-chat about me. We're going with Madonna, the Bedtime Stories promo. So now this was the EPK Paris interview. Then we're going to go in with the MTV's No Bull, making a take of a bow. Okay, that makes sense. No Bull, as in take a bow music video. No bull, because there was a bull in it. And then finishing with the MTV VMA Awards presenting video of the year. I'm very keen to see her in a presenting format. Haven't seen that yet. Very keen for some promo, and obviously, you know, the behind the scenes making of where we get some more interview kind of stuff. So very, very keen. As I always say, let me know down below what you guys think of the era, what you guys think of the interviews that we're watching, where you're at with Madonna in this sense, and yeah, I guess anything else major that was going on in the world that I guess had an impact or anything like that. I now know more that this is directly after Erotica. Obviously I knew that, but I really forgot, I guess, the backlash in what I've seen, because for me it wasn't as scandalous, I suppose, in terms of, like, you know, what we know now. You gotta remember to put yourself back there, and this is obviously after everyone hated it, so that's why, you know, she is a bit more reserved in interviews and things like that. Let's get it cracking. Ooh la la. Alright, Bedtime Stories promotion. Let's go. VHS, I love it. Oh, this is that interview. This is in, I think, one of like the TV show segments from the last interview era we did.
Could you tell me the journey from Erotica to Bedtime Stories?
Straight into it, so awkward, but then that's such a hitting question.
That's a simple way to describe it. Yes. It was hard to be so profoundly misunderstood and not be destroyed and go back to work and continue writing and being expressive, and to try to express myself without listening to all the voices and thinking of all the things that people said, and that was hard.
And how did you survive all those years being misunderstood by the press and by the people, by the critics, some critics?
Knowing in my heart that it was what I wanted to do, at least understanding what I meant personally, and also the people that I respect and admire, their opinions and their advice. The handful of people that understood the irony,
so solemn,
or the message, or whatever I was trying to say, that helped me.
Yeah, how did it start, the idea of the album, the Bedtime Stories?
I mean, he doesn't really feel like he's connecting with it.
The whole idea.
It's just like question after question.
Into yourself, I think.
Because like you could have probed that a bit more, I reckon.
It just happened. 2 years of really trying to understand myself and humanity. I think I got a huge education. I mean, my whole life has been an education. When people are happy and enthusiastic and cheering your name and saying you're the greatest, it doesn't give you pause to reflect as much as it doesn't encourage you to sit and be reflective.
That's so true.
Questioning and challenging what you do. I would say that my state of mind and what I wrote about was a reaction or a reflection or a response to that.
Yeah, would you define this album your most autobiographical one, or not?
No, not necessarily. I think there's...
I love what, oh my god, how do I pause this? I love what she said about, you know, when you get praise and things like that, you don't have time to reflect. It's so true, and obviously I'm not putting myself in the realms of Madonna, but even, you know, in terms of like the comments I get, a lot of them, generally I'd say like 95% are positive comments, so you generally just, you're on that high, you're like, oh my god, I'm so glad people are vibing, and then when you get the comments, and I like the comments that are more constructive, or they kind of like call you out on things, or maybe, you know, I was too harsh in some people's opinions, so it does let you reflect on the content you put out, and I guess the opinions you've had, so I really like that like message, and I guess I've never heard it said like that. When you get praise, you don't have time to reflect on yourself and what you're doing, because you're just like, oh, everyone's loving us, I'm just going to keep doing the same stuff. But when you get that feedback, it's a nice grounding moment. So I do like those moments, whether or not they sting or you agree with them or not. It's still nice to be able to have that reflection. I like that.
I would say Like a Prayer was very autobiographical.
What was the thing that hurted you most during your...
See, like the questions are just made questions to not have an interaction.
Through my whole career,
Yeah.
I think what hurts me the most is not specifically what someone says about me. The feeling that human beings tend to be much more interested in the negative things in life and watching someone fall.
You find this album more spiritual than the others?
See, like you could just ask so many more questions about that.
From what comes this spirituality? From your
All the things that I'm telling you, my life, the path that the road that I've traveled, the people that I've met, the decisions I've had to make.
Which was the most important person in your life? Be honest, true.
I'm trying. I mean, there's so many important people in my life. The most.
Right. I know people are going to whinge that I'm whinging on the interviewer. They're awesome questions, and you know she's clearly carrying the interview because she's given some really thought-provoking answers. But she's just spoken about that. Who's the most inspirational person? To be honest, it's like I love, obviously, you know, she always responds quite authentically. She's like, I'm trying, like, give me a second. There's no follow-up to these questions or her answers that, you know, you could really dive a bit deeper in. And she is being pretty open, like, these are all quite, I would say, quite authentic and honest answers. So it's just frustrating that she's not being treated with the respect of actually listening to her answer. They're just going through the motions. Like, tick that question. I mean, she could probably say, like, I gave birth to an elephant, and the next question would be, so how old are you? Like, you know, it's not a nice flowing interview. It's awesome to see her, but I guess it is also quite interesting to see, again, she's just treated as a product and they just want an interview, churn her out, and then move on to the next one. So I like the interview in that sense, but it is a bit annoying because I'm like, you could just dive so much deeper into her answers.
When you're all by yourself, you think of everybody has someone.
I'd say myself.
I guess my mother. Not so much because she was alive to have an influence on the imagination of her, my idealism of motherhood and my dream of what she could have been, and also a longing for her has had a big influence on me.
And the family? Having been brought up in a big family.
Well, my family's been a huge influence on me, my father and my brothers and sisters.
Going back to the album, very basic question.
Oh my
How do you
God,
choose
guys.
the people you work with?
So you go from that super touching moment about her
What do they
mother.
have to do?
I wanted to work with all of them because I respected the work that all of them did. Dave Hall, actually, he was forced on me by my business manager, and I didn't want to work with him at all, but I met him and I liked him, and then we started writing together, and it worked out good.
It worked out
Leaving
good.
the album and going back to what you say last
We're
year.
just going like this right now.
Yeah.
What about the cinema? You say last year that you wanted to direct.
Yeah.
What happened to this idea?
It's still there inside of me, waiting for its chance to come out.
What would you like to direct? What's the movie you like most? The most moving movie?
Oh my God, bro. I don't know.
I couldn't tell you. It would be original. And
She's already going for the next question.
Renee.
Any kind of regret looking back to your career?
The $1 million question. No. To say that I did everything I wanted to do is not the same as saying I have no regrets. I think having regrets is a waste of time. Because even if you make mistakes, you learn from them.
Absolutely no
So
regrets.
there are things that I would like to have done, but who's to say I still can't do them, and it's not the same as a regret.
How do you see yourself in 10 years' time? Still in the music business?
I don't know. I don't see. I just live in the present.
Do you think that this album is the photograph of the real Madonna? The real Madonna that was...
They're all her.
From what I hear from a few lines that I've heard from a few songs.
If you haven't heard the record?
Yeah.
You have?
Yeah.
Okay.
I loved it.
The whole
But-
record?
Yeah.
Cringe.
My
He
opinion
hasn't.
is not.
No, your opinion matters. The more you do what you do, the better you get at it. So I would say that the more I write, the closer I come to my own voice. I think in the beginning of every artist's career, you tend to copy people or be very inspired by people or take on the ideas of other people, and then slowly and surely,
Yeah, it's almost like, yeah,
confidence,
becoming
you
more...
start to find your own voice.
having more ownership over your work.
Hearing people telling you stories, looking into yourself, what?
All of the above. I mean, life, period.
What gives you most at this time of your career, the sense of your roots?
I guess he's not allowing her to like rebuttal. He's just kind of like hitting them with questions. So it's good in that sense.
Well,
So
where
you
I
still
came from
have-
and who I am is kind of
Yeah.
different, but on the other hand, it's the same.
Like she's really like going deep
I'd say
here.
my work gives me that, a sense of myself, who I am.
You feel the pressure of being, for so many years now, a cultural icon, the symbol of success, the most successful woman in the music business in the world,
Yes, I feel the
things
pressure.
like that, you know.
It's
I
so
feel the
wild.
pressure. I feel the pressure at this very moment.
How do you deal or fight this pressure for being yourself?
The girl from Detroit?
Yeah.
That's a cool question. He's
I
got some
don't
good
know.
questions.
How do I maintain my sanity? Is that what you're
Yeah,
asking?
yeah.
Well, it's difficult. I'm surrounded by people that help me, my friends, people that I work with. I surround myself with people that have a sense of humor, that are intelligent. I wouldn't say that I only have the most perfectly sincere, down-to-earth people around me all the time. I didn't really become famous till 24, 25 years old, so I had many years to
Yeah,
be
the
a normal
foundations.
person.
And do you have any regret of that period before the big success,
What-
going
we
out
already-
all by yourself and nobody
had got no
looking
regrets.
for you?
But what do you mean?
No, being on yourself in the street.
You mean when I first
yeah,
started?
Yeah.
I couldn't have asked for anything more than what happened to me.
In this period in the music business, everybody's looking for collaboration, duets, this and that. Have you ever thought of doing something like that?
A duet?
Yeah, something like that. You know, it's a fashion. I'm asking this because it's a fashion. I know
No,
you
it's-
don't
it's
do
a
it.
silly
But if you
fashion.
like,
I know you don't
like
do
to you have any name. I know you.
Pretty sure
won't
she does
do it.
collabs
You
now, but
shouldn't do
anyway.
it. You never do it.
Then I definitely won't do it.
Yeah, okay, but a dream. Tomorrow you wake up, call me.
But if you held a gun to my head and I
Yeah.
had to do it,
Yeah, I had the gun.
okay,
I had the gun.
little Jimmy Scott.
Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah.
brother.
And what about the cinema?
It's a bit awkward.
A duet in the cinema?
No, a director and an actor or an actress to work with.
To crack my knuckles for that one. Work with Martin Scorsese, Quentin Tarantino,
I wonder if she does end up working with these people.
all the other good ones are dead. Almodovar.
Ah, God. The Spanish one.
Yep.
Yeah, and
The Spanish one.
Nobody, okay.
See what I mean? She's like really trying to give him answers, so it's such an interesting interview.
Eric Roberts. No.
Who's that? I just want
Who
to ask
told
this.
you Bedtime Stories when you were a girl, very little girl.
My father.
Scary,
No, not
beautiful,
scary.
Snow White.
Well, he told me a lot of tales, but I only remember the stupidest ones, and I don't remember the specific plot. I just remember that it took place in a garden. There was a rabbit, and the rabbit was very bad, and the rabbit was always trying to sneak into the garden and eat the vegetables.
Isn't that,
It was something about good and evil, but something about a carrot and a rabbit.
yeah, I swear that is a
It sounds
story.
really boring.
And the
Your
farmer comes and
relationship
gets
with
him.
him is improved during the year.
With my father,
Yeah,
I would say, yeah. In Esquire,
yeah, Esquire, it destroyed him.
I did.
Yeah,
What?
completely, because it looked like a poor intellectual run down, completely run down. How did you manage to do this? It's such a cultural icon of the American culture.
She's like, did I?
Probably you have a receipt to do something like that with such a...
I wasn't attempting to destroy him.
No,
I
I
was
know,
really
I
having
know,
a-
I know, but
A
at the end of the
conversation.
article, the conversation was you 100%, him 1%.
Did I win by a knockout?
Yeah.
It's hard to sound intelligent when people ask you stupid questions.
I'm like, have I watched this?
So
Or am I like...
raised the level of my game. So
I think he said in an interview, like a magazine, so let me know what that's
Of
about.
course, the most stupid question they ever ask you.
What was the most
Yeah,
stupid
yeah,
question?
sorry.
He's getting...
You
There's
have
just too many.
thousands. So just choose one.
You've got thousands, just choose one. That's me, he's kind of not letting her off the hook either.
Do I think I've gone too far?
What's
Going
the
back
answer?
to bedtime, as I said before, it has a sense, to me, I heard it twice only, it has a sense of great spirituality, very subtle, from being raised as a Catholic girl,
The spirituality that is
very
in,
subtle but very deep.
right? It's more based in the teachings of Hinduism and Buddhism than Catholicism. It's more Eastern. I think it's a struggle. I mean, I was raised as a Catholic, and whether I like it or not, I will always have a rather Catholic view of the world.
Sense of sin.
a sense of sin, very patriarchal, and always in a struggle with that, you know, the father figure and the sense of sin and redemption and the struggle of good and evil and all of those things. The ideas that I embrace in my record, which are that happiness lies in your own hand, is the opposite of that, and the fight with that, and that God exists in all of us, and trying to come to terms with that and find my own sense of religion. Although I am Catholic in my bones, I am looking for something else in my blood. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That doesn't make sense.
Thinking of that, how did you get in touch with the Eastern philosophies?
That's a cool follow-up question.
Buddhism, you said before, Buddhism and Zen.
Reading called The Divine Avatar. Have you ever heard of that?
I'm
Well, you'd
not
have to read the book.
I'm sorry, I'm not into it. Sorry, forgive me.
Well, I wasn't into it either.
I'm
Someone
going
just
to.
gave me the
Yeah.
book. But it's actually
going
very
to. It's so cute.
spiritually,
How Madonna writes a song? Because everybody sees you there.
it's always different. Sometimes I hear music, like a chord progression. And
Take About is one of the best songs you ever written.
Thank you. I agree.
Everyone loves Take a Bow.
I have to be by myself in a room. I lay on my stomach on the floor and I write in a book, and I just play the music over and over and over again till I write the whole song out. Or sometimes I write in a journal, or I'll have a poem. I'll take that poem and try to fit it to music. Sometimes I hear music in my head and I can't play an instrument, so I'll go to the person I'm writing music with and say, play this.
Cool way to like how she kind of
Which
says
poem?
how she speaks about. I'm gonna pause it. Oh, it's nearly finished. How she speaks about like just the writing process. I like that. Not many artists, I guess, are that honest. Like she said, sometimes she's got a song, she's just playing it through. So I don't know. I just liked how she described all that. Just it was just again like quite honest and upfront, and just it is what it is.
Must read the book, The Postman of Pablo Neruda. It's a movie by Michael Radford, Antonio Scagliata. It's
Okay.
a young writer.
Michael Radford, I know who he is.
Yeah,
He's English.
yeah, he did it.
Okay.
It's a movie with Philippe Noiret.
We have to stop
Why?
because we're out of time.
Ok.
Oh, mi dispiace.
Mi dispiace, il postino, Antonio Scarmeta. No, you write me down.
Also, the first picture from Madonna's Notorious.
God, lol. My God, my ears are not made for those freaking things when I'm talking. It's I don't know. Maybe my ears are just too small. The ear part. Anyway, what a weird day this was, because I'm pretty sure this is the same day as whatever that chick's name is. I want to say Rosie, but obviously it's not Rosie O'Donnell. It's just the first thing that came to my head. Whatever that lady's name is, I can't even remember. The one that I didn't like. So, like, even that, like, we need to start with just like why. Like, obviously she was vibing the interview. I'm gonna say I think she enjoyed the interview overall. Like, I would say that's one of the most like honest. I know everyone said like after Erotica she's kind of quite standoffish, but this one you learn so much about her, and she's so forthcoming. While it was a bit, you know, jilted to begin with, jilted, that the right word? I don't know. I definitely think she appreciated him, and I guess there's a bit of a language barrier in terms of like the humor and things like that. But other than that, the questions actually were very heating. He didn't give her time. He kind of made her answer. I like that. I guess just it wasn't a nice flow through, and I suppose maybe he's just, you know, not the best interviewer in terms of picking up on those things that people have said, and I guess like segueing, he's just getting through. And I suppose if he was on a tight time schedule, he wants to get through those questions that he needs to ask anyway. Love the interview though. Definitely got to know more. Like I said, there was some real just open, honest, relatable stuff. I liked that. It was just cool. Like I said, you get quite hypnotized when she's talking. You just kind of hang on every word she's got to say. I love that ending. She's like, why? Like, you could tell she's like, what the hell's going on? Like, don't try and, you know, like, why am I not in control? I like that though. That was very cool, very nice, an awesome interview. Definitely could have been edited a bit, like cut out some of like the weird awkward silences, but I guess it just added to the charm. What I noticed was she doesn't really say and like her voice, now I can't even talk as I'm trying to explain how well she is at talking. It's just so direct, so poignant, and just none of the like, I mean, I say like a lot, I know, which I try not to, it's just so hard. But I definitely think one of her most revealing interviews, like surely this has got to be one of them. I'm just like everything, like speaking about her mother, her dad, her childhood, her background, how she writes music, what she thinks of regrets, that she can still go and do things like, I mean, so many things that I guess I didn't know about her. But and then when she says that, it makes so much sense. You're just like, of course that's what you'd say. Of course that's, you know, how you think. The Catholic religion part, oh my God, just that whole how you've been brought up and, you know, it's still an integral core part of you. And I suppose even for me, I love seeing, you know, Catholic imagery, churches, them burning. Like, I love the destruction of that side of it. And is that because, you know, I'm so rebellious against it, but it's still so stunning. Weddings in churches are beautiful. And again, that's just your upbringing. I like what she said, you know, it's in your bones, but it's not what's in your blood. Like, that's not how I want my blood to flow. Look for other things. I see God in everyone. Like, I think we're all God, and when you're turning to God asking for help, really you're just asking yourself to, you know, pull yourself through it and give yourself credit rather than someone else. Very, very in-depth, deep, very cool. I loved it. What a sick interview. You could rewatch that and pick up new things each time. With the headphones in, like, all those background, I kept thinking that someone was in my room because, like, there was so many, like, little clicks or little things. And that's obviously, you know, she's got her team in the room with her. Very cool. I love it. All right, the next one is a biggie. It's the MTV's No Bull, the making of Take a Bow. Like I said, everyone freaking loves this song. #1 for like the longest in the US. Wild. It's a good song. I just don't think it's the best of Bedtime Stories. As I was watching that interview, I was thinking, I think Bedtime Stories is my favorite album by Madonna. I think I'm going to call it right now. It's probably the one I've listened to the most. Like, honestly, I've listened to it so many times, like from start to finish. I just have it on loop. While there's some epic songs on the other albums that are absolutely my favorite, I think as a whole, Bedtime Stories is my favorite. So far, anyway. I mean, we're quite a few albums in, so I think that's a pretty big call. Anyway, I don't know how she's going to top Bedtime Stories, and I don't think she does from what you guys have said. Other than Ray of Light, which I know everyone loves. I don't know, I think Bedtime Stories is probably the best. Maybe. Alright, let's go with No Bull, the making of Take a Bow. Let's go.
1994 excursion to Spain to watch Madonna shoot one of her most popular videos.
Hey! Love a good montage.
Welcome to Ronda, Spain, a 2,000-year-old town up in the mountains high above the Costa del Sol. Madonna has come here,
That's
as
me.
you can see, to make a video for Take a Bow. We've been watching her, we've been following her around, making her life miserable.
Butting into my life
It's just
extensively.
really great. There's a lot of psychodrama going on. You're going to see all of that, but first...
Psychodrama.
First, I want to make a wish.
Okay, well, go ahead and make a wish.
Okay.
This didn't involve the length of my life or anything, did it?
No, had nothing to do with you.
Damn. All right.
I'm sorry, Kurt.
As always with Madonna Productions, this was a big one. She was about the biggest thing to happen to the city since bandits ruled the place about 1,000 years ago.
That's cool.
She came here at an unusual
Help
time.
them.
Have you ever been to Spain before?
Yeah, many times to Madrid and Barcelona, but I've never been to the south, which is, I think, more beautiful. Because I thought we were going to arrive in a sleepy little village, and actually there were people. we had to move hotels because we were in this really quaint, charming 3-story hotel. But when we realized that we were surrounded and that people could actually climb up the front of the building and get in my bedroom window, we had to move. So,
Well, not
sounds
necessarily a
exciting.
drawback.
Is there any conception of, like, Spain or Matador at the time?
No, I was actually thinking of a movie star. Thought
So different. More relaxed.
visually, how do I show what he does that's going to read to people?
Bullfighting. She said, I've been thinking about this. I said, really, because it's something I'm interested in. Pretty soon we started saying, well, what if it was a matador? Is at the edge? Is there a mystery to this person, this public figure, that no one else knows about?
To portray
I mean,
a matador and take a bow,
You
director
really
Houseman,
think
an
about them all.
aficionado.
Is this your first video? Is this the first one you've done?
Este es tu primer video.
How is it so far? Are you enjoying it?
That's crazy.
New experience, yeah.
I'm listening to
There's
this
a
album
tragic-
as soon as I finish this.
I have to
Oh,
get
it's
this
really
fly
interesting.
paper off my face.
Okay.
I love that
Okay.
stuff
See
in
you
my
later.
face.
Do you ever wish you could escape from it and just be able to go for a walk or something?
Yeah, absolutely. For me to get into an elaborate disguise, I'll come out of my hotel looking like a drag queen or a bag lady. You know what I mean?
So this is how it's done. You can see they push them up.
I don't need the support, by the way.
No, not at all.
They're naturally this high. Well, it's a couple
amazing.
weeks old. It was worn in John Galliano's last. About the bullfight, and that she, you know, it's this 40s kind of feeling, very kind of restricted and sexy, of course, and glamorous.
It doesn't make you like the music video more watching this.
These clothes.
I am in charge of cramming her bosom into these clothes. So he's coming to my hotel room to seduce me. You can imagine.
Look at it, like,
Well, yeah, I mean, he's hot.
kind of, well, we know, but
I don't want to be modest.
Yes! Just makes you like want to go back and watch all these.
Cuban men, is there an attraction there?
Oh, don't go there.
No?
I have like drapery around all my beds so you can shut the whole world out.
Oh.
Very private. For those times when you need extra privacy.
Yeah, I know those times.
You do not. Beautiful architecture, mountains, clean air,
Spanish men.
gorgeous men and women and children.
Yeah. Everybody looks pretty good here.
Even the dogs are cute.
Now, somebody was just telling us that people come here to commit suicide.
They do?
Yeah.
Well, that's not why I'm here.
Well, I hope not, no. This is not the place to end your career.
I love life.
Are you looking very sort of healthy and up of you? Kind of
really
She smokes.
I'm only smoking cigarettes because
effect.
my clothes are so tight that I can't eat.
Oh my god.
Supermodel diet.
What do you do in the desk?
We all sit around and gossip or eat or turn music on and dance.
Get my ass!
This is Versace, this is
I love
Prada.
the smoking
all the
inside,
lingerie
it's
is
so
Sevilla.
funny.
These are knickknacks, yes. Actually, none of these are going to probably make it in. Get a nice cleavage shot too while you're at it.
All right. Do these have names or? It's just a joke.
My breasts. Kurt, don't go there either.
I'm sorry.
I don't know how you say this guy's name.
Christian Louboutin.
Christian Louboutin. He's an Asian
Lol.
designer.
She
Isn't it
doesn't
lovely?
know that.
Doubles as a
Just a
shield.
little time now, obviously
They look really comfy,
huge.
too.
I mean, probably wasn't back in the day.
Actually, they are very comfortable.
That's funny.
You look good in red.
Think so? Oh, nice. I'll keep that in mind for later. So this is all your
It's
stuff.
funny.
I'm feeling very Cindy.
I think there was this perception that, Madonna, bitch on wheels, and now they say, what's the new Madonna? She's really sweet. She's user-friendly.
Somewhere I'm
in
sweet
between.
and I'm a bitch, you know what I mean? And that's always been the way it is. I'm a human being. In the end, it's your ass on the line. You're being judged for it, so you've got to make it the best it can be.
15 minutes upstairs and then back
Yep.
to
No shot takes 15 minutes. Not with this crew.
Madonna's battle against time and critical trauma continues.
It's like a little remix under there with that song. Did she actually do that?
Lonely star.
I like this.
Madonna's 7th studio album, an unusually subtle piece of work
Seventh?
called
Wow.
Bedtime Stories.
I didn't
Made
realize
its
there was
debut
that
on the
many.
Billboard chart in October at number 3. The critics seem to have backed off on this record. Is that a good sign? I mean, they seem to they seem to like it.
I mean, I'm not getting publicly flogged.
Yeah. Isn't that sweet?
Yes, well, I guess it's because I'm not being a bad girl right now. Maybe for the first time in a long time, really just concentrating on the music.
Yeah.
And maybe if they were able to concentrate on the music of my last album, they would have enjoyed it more.
Do you think Erotica got the hearing it deserved?
Absolutely not. Are you kidding me?
I think in retrospect, a lot of people look back and say, yeah, it's a really good record.
Yeah, I know, I've heard that. Thanks. Why didn't you say that 2 years ago?
I wish someone asked them more about human nature.
I didn't give myself a set of rules when I went in the studio and said, okay, and now I have to write this kind of music. I think you can't write songs unless you're being
Because human nature is
honest.
very
I don't think
erotica
you can.
wise.
Do you show up with melodies, with lyrics?
It's different every time. I have, no, I don't play any instruments. I always work with songwriter, producers.
Zach, I love how
can
honest
play
she is with that
instruments.
stuff.
Collaborating with anybody, it's very intimate and it's hard. Sometimes it doesn't work with people and you get in a room and you don't feel comfortable or...
Yeah.
So I went through a few of those and
Describe
that.
a few people.
yeah, kicked them right out.
How did your connection with Björk come up? Where did this song come from?
That came from
She said her name
making
right.
because of Björk's album. I thought it was amazing.
Let's get unconscious, honey.
Well, every year it's a different me.
But has romance come into your life? I think we were reading something about
Romance has always been in my life. Well, that sounds really immodest, doesn't it?
Fortunate. Sounds
No,
fortunate.
but I've always written romantic songs.
What? Like such bangers.
There's kind of a sweetness to some of the songs on the record, too, though. It's
Or
like,
bittersweetness.
I have
yeah.
to say a bitter sweetness.
Yeah.
But is there a guy in your life who's
Oh,
changed things?
getting to the really important question. The songs are about a lot of different...
Guys?
Well, not just men. I mean, Inside of Me sounds like it's a love song, but it's actually about my mother.
Oh yeah, I think even I thought it was a love song.
A lot of times it takes me a long time before I can come to terms with maybe a relationship I had years ago. You know what I mean? And I finally found a way to talk about it or write about it.
Yeah,
So it's not
that's
even
true.
necessarily something
Like
that was
relatable.
happening to me currently.
Obviously it's true for her.
My mother died when she was very young, and you know, when I got to be, she was 31 years old, and when I got to be, I mean, my whole life was about you know, 31. When I get to be that age, is that going to be my death sentence? Is that what's going to happen to me? And when I finally like passed that age and I was still alive, I can sort of breathe again.
In secret, the video is Madonna.
I got chills from that.
And I think people traditionally think of Harlem as being this ghetto where everybody's like sad and people are full of despair and there's no hope. And I walk down the streets, I mean 125th Street in Lenox, and I see beautiful, beautiful people and beautiful children playing in the streets, and I see incredible, beautiful brownstones. I mean, that is a beautiful part of Manhattan.
Madonna made a raucous appearance on the David Letterman show. You were on his show saying all these
bad words.
Bad words.
Yes, I know, but it was a performance.
Incidentally, you are a sick.
You realize this is being broadcast, don't you?
It wasn't a real argument between us, and
was Dave aware of this?
He knew the gist of what was going to happen. Is that a rug?
All right, what is that, a swim cap? What are you wearing?
That's so good. A swim cap.
Let's go. Here we go.
It was like a snowball, you know? I mean, it was like everybody freaked out about it, and then I think Dave freaked out about it a little bit. But you know what? Dave was never, you know, I called him up to, when they asked me to do the MTV Awards, I said, well, you know, who do you want to do it with? And I couldn't think of anybody. It's like, I thought, if I come out with anyone, there's got to be some kind of symbolism. It's got, like, who do I want to join forces with? Who do I want to, you know, represent myself with? And I thought, wouldn't it be great to come out with David Letterman? Because everyone thinks we're in this, like, huge world war. I said, Dave, are you ready to bury the hatchet? He goes, there is no hatchet.
Oh, this must be what I'm going to watch after.
I'll be in the car. Just watch your language.
He was very agreeable, and I have to say I adore him. I know that sounds completely perverse, but I do.
I think, yeah, they just got a good relating. I like that. This is cool. I like this interview. I like this era. Bedtime Stories is absolutely one of the best eras by her. Like, surely I'm not alone in these thoughts.
This is a deeply Catholic region of the
This
country.
is a deeply beautiful, beautiful, beautiful city. But it's one of the oldest cities in the world. And there's no McDonald's, there's no 7-Eleven. And
Is this a typical Madonna
Those are pretty
video?
short.
Well, yeah, it's expensive, and...
Not your money, though.
Well, it kind of is my money.
Yeah.
If you know how videos work, I mean, you know, you get an advance and then start making money on your records, and then that record company just sucks it back out of you. So.
But I mean,
Are they always
odd?
It's mostly an English crew, but then for the extras we have to have Spanish crew people to translate, and it's kind of complicated.
I'll just give you a cue. Everyone's quiet, then when I cue you, you just say he's been hit.
I'll have a kid fall.
Okay.
Jerónimo, te toca.
Yeah, pretty intense.
Roll camera.
The sickies.
Easiest way to do a video, of course, is just tuck into a studio for a couple of days and knock the thing out under controlled conditions. But it does have its drawbacks.
It's a complete different strategy in lighting and in looking at everything.
It's cold, it's far away, but actually it's not. It's gone surprisingly well. I mean, the running through the streets yesterday was a little bit difficult with crowds, but I've had much tougher shoots.
Such as what?
Well, first of all, in rain, I had to get water dumped on me for 5 days. I mean, I wasn't... I'm not into being cold. My fake fur.
Madonna had to contend with a publicity onslaught by a celebrity-oriented animal rights group.
Well, I've already gotten flack from animal rights people because everyone said, oh, you're, you know, glorifying bullfighting, you're going to be hurting the bull, and rumors started, and suddenly I was, you know, lining up bulls and shooting them with rifles. Well, you know what? Everyone's entitled to their opinion.
Yes.
I don't believe that any organization should dictate to me what I can and can't do artistically. And the fact of the matter is, we didn't harm any bulls while we were shooting.
You actually bought them, they're going to retire to a farm somewhere.
Yeah, because they're bred and raised to to be
Sad,
fought.
yeah.
His lighting is fabulous.
Yeah.
He's lit from within.
That's true, yes. Yes, now that he's broken my heart, I'm going to do my crying
You're
scene.
crying. I was feeling a little flutter.
Are you falling in love with him, Kurt?
I like to kind of rub up against him, but I'm cold. So that's probably why.
So am I.
Is the love scene coming up soon?
Actually, we did the love scene already, and that's why I'm crying.
Oh, I was
See?
hoping we could watch. Guess we won't be doing that though. What is the next?
¿Entiendes?
No, nada. Ni una palabra.
Men don't understand anything anyway.
It was a fantastic name. She says, well, that's not about being an artist, that's about being ambitious. He said, well, then make sure, then you're very ambitious.
Pero de nada.
No, I'm not going to lie about anything. Don't worry about it. Mwah. Mwah. Okay, all right, bye.
I never get a kiss.
That's cute. I like that chemistry together. Every time I smile, these freaking things. I love seeing like how much has gone into this and like just.
You consider
everything.
directing one of these videos eventually? It seems like a natural thing to do.
I don't know if I could do that because that's really wearing two hats. And if I was behind the camera, I'd want to stay
You'd be arguing
behind the
with
camera.
yourself.
Exactly. I don't want to get into an argument with me. What is the greatest singer and what is the greatest? I mean, I don't think that, you know, being good has anything to do with your octave range or, you know,
See, like,
it's
no
not
one
about
says this stuff.
technical. It's about what's in here. It's about being true to yourself and touching people, you know. It's about emotion, being passionate about what you do. I mean, some of the greatest artists in the world don't necessarily, as far as singing goes, don't have like what people would call technically perfect voices, but they come from somewhere deep down inside and they touch people.
Right. And the technically perfect people can be terribly boring.
Terribly, if that's all one concentrates on.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't sing from your heart and you don't mean it, then how can it mean anything to anyone else?
Yeah, this little remix.
Close to 10 hours.
Jesus.
So it's basically logging 10 hours of film, 10 hours of incredible material.
I can't direct a bullfight, and it's going to happen when it happens. And we wanted to slow the passes down at a really slow speed.
It is a cool song.
You show up in the editing room and
Oh, yes.
they'd be happy to see you coming?
Why not? I always have something good to contribute.
I'm sure you do.
Yeah, I mean, I think that everybody all the directors I've worked with, I think that they welcome my input and there are always people that I know I can collaborate with.
Stuff over to like Junior Vasquez to remix it. I mean,
Right.
This must be a great sense of trust you have in those guys.
I have a huge sense of, well, I've known Junior for years, and
I think it's the dude they're not friends with anymore.
That's her by herself.
Something's coming up.
That's the double. Together, it's just bigger than all the harmonies. This is Dallas's original loop.
I wouldn't do that with everybody. It's like, it's a part of me. It's hard for me to let it go to someone I don't know, I don't trust, I don't know who they are.
Cool way to even see like how remixes are done. I like that.
Labeled Madonna children. They'd be coming up soon.
Yes, I'm 9 months pregnant. She's out looking for a man to sire her child. She's found, I want to have children.
Yeah.
That's, you know, and I will. And could everybody just get off my back about it?
How old am I?
No, how old is this place?
What are you going to act your age?
No, I'm just gonna use my... Are your hands clean? Because I'm gonna have it back later.
Oh.
Yeah, you.
Cute. I like this one too.
Kurt, get a real job, okay?
Hello. Cute. Yeah, it just solidifies how much I love this era. What I love the most is that both those interviews, there weren't really any sexist questions or anything about that. It was all about her work and her and things like that. You know, her life, you know, sporadically put in, but they were interviews that really just encompass what you were here for. You want to know more about the music, her writing process, the creation of it all. And yeah, like those personal tidbits that came in there and just, I guess, her opinions on things in general. So I really like that. It makes it so much more enjoyable. Obviously, when she likes an interviewer, she's open and, you know, you can vibe with her so much more. Very cool segment. I love behind the scenes stuff anyway, and just like the creation of it. So I love, again, you get another in-look in that. You don't really get this kind of content anymore. I loved her vulnerability with the singing, the instrument playing, like just all that stuff. Like artists just are not this forthcoming at all, really, to be fair. I'm trying to think of someone that maybe is. I don't know, let me know if there is. But as we know, there's really no one like Madonna. I'm very keen to go on with this last little segment of her presenting at the MTV Music Awards with David Letterman. That is just so good. Like I said, so tongue-in-cheek, so on the nose, so relative to what was happening, you know, with the backlash from the interview and to bring him out. Just so iconic, such iconicness that still happens in, you know, pop culture. And I love that she was doing this like 30 years ago. Let's go on with it. Let's go. So good.
And you thought we wouldn't last.
I'll be in the car. Just watch your language.
Love it.
Bye, Daddy.
Bye, Daddy. It's so funny the stuff she says, like it's still like relative in pop culture. Like such a meme.
Te amo. And the nominees for Best Video of the Year.
Should be you, someone says. Jesus, it's scary. Oh, it's the chick from Clueless. Okay. Jesus, very like dude band dominated. What the hell? Surely that was controversial. I like this song. I guess Madonna or R.E.M. wins.
And the winner is Aerosmith.
Ah. Okay, interesting.
Madonna, baby. I saw your book.
Oh my god.
Erotica. Joe, why do you suppose Madonna uses these two fingers to masturbate with?
I don't know why, Steven.
Because they're mine.
Oh my god. Jesus. Fucking hell.
If I use your fingers, then it's not masturbation. Sexual abuse.
What the fuck?
I don't know exactly what it was that made people decide that our video was the best out of it. It was a great party. Thanks.
You could hear like a bit of chatter from Madonna to the other dude.
That's it, everybody.
Okay. Not how I thought that would go in the slightest. Oh my god, that surely made some headlines. That is pretty outrageous. I guess you would never see that happen today. So, what the actual hell? That's got to have caused some stir. Wow. Yeah, wow. I mean, it's very on brand for, I'm pretty sure those dudes are like rockabilly kind of dudes, so I guess it makes sense. Although he did say I saw your book Erotica, which is the album, so I guess a bit of a technicality there. I just love how Madonna race back. No, actually, I'm gonna have the last word here. Don't you try and like, you know, outsmart me. Very cool. Love the David Letterman. Obviously, I was like, why am I watching this other than, you know, for that? But then that came, which made... Which makes perfect sense. Love it. Absolutely prefer this era to the first era of interviews. You know, like I said, it's more flowing. And, well, not the first interview, but it's so much more open. Her interviews are just so much more engaging when it's just a nice vibe. The interview is cool. They give her the space and, you know, she's vibing it as well. Can't believe the behind the scenes was 40 minutes. That flew by. What a quick, like, I mean, that was over an hour worth of footage. But again, whenever you're watching her, whenever you're listening to her, you just captivate. You just want to hear more and see what else she's got to say. Ryan, as always, thank you for taking me on this journey. I'm absolutely going to be playing Bedtime Stories the minute this ends. Like, it's honestly the era that just keeps giving. And I know I probably said that within each era, but I suppose as you grow more accustomed to her, I suppose that, like she says, you know, the more you do something, the better you get at it. So I think the more I'm watching of her, you know, I think that's, you know, how I'm relating to her more and, you know, understanding her a bit more. I also love how she spoke about, you know, not being the best singer and things like that. You know, even in terms of like my own stuff that I do on YouTube, like I'm not the best reactor. I don't have the best equipment. I don't have the most extravagant things like that, but for me, all I ever wanted to focus on was experiencing new things, listening to new music, listening to new artists, and just being authentic and honest and just giving my real opinion no matter what kind of backlash I may or may not get. So I really like that, and it resonated with me because it's absolutely times where I'm like, why am I doing this? Like, I'm not even that good at it. So I don't know, I like I said, it's quite relatable, it's quite motivating. Whenever I leave her interviews or just her in general, I'm always like re-energized and refreshed. So I love that feeling, and I'm sure you guys can relate to that feeling as well. You're gonna see the full cards there on Patreon, links are down below. Obviously, all the edited ones are on YouTube. Go source them out if you want to do it. I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok, I'm on all the crappy socials. Links are down below. Ryan, you're a king. Hope you're I'm here. I'm gonna go.